Today, my name is Nicole Munsemi and I'm a Bachelor of Education student at Stadio. My student number is 222-15441 and welcome to my EPS400 presentation. Today, I'd like to reflect on a critical challenge that I've witnessed both personally and academically: learner disengagement in post-COVID-19 South African classrooms. As you can see on the slide, the impact of COVID-19 on teaching and learning has been immense. But beyond the loss of classroom time, the most concerning effect for me has been what I call the silent withdrawal of many learners. Learners are physically back in class, but emotionally and cognitively, many are still absent. During my teaching practice in a grade 4 class, I encountered a learner named Liam who hardly spoke, avoided eye contact, and would often sit with his head down. When I gently encouraged him to answer a question, he whispered, "I don't know how to think anymore." This statement hit me hard. It wasn't just about forgetting content, it was about losing belief in himself. And I knew then that this wasn't just an academic issue, it was deeply human. This is a pattern we've been seeing nationally and backed up by research. According to Shepard and Sproul in 2021, in their research, learners in no fee schools lost up to 70% of a year of learning time during the pandemic. As well, from the Department of Education in 2021, it also reported that an increased dropout and failure rate, particularly in grade 4 to 10. But what the numbers don't always capture is how disconnected and discouraged many learners feel upon their return. The factors behind this are layered. Many learners had little or no access to technology during lockdown. Their parents, often essential workers or unemployed, couldn't always offer educational support. In fact, some learners became caregivers themselves or faced traumatic events such as hunger or violence at home. Returning to a classroom filled with pressure to catch up only deepened the disconnection. In reflection on this, I found incredible insight in Feuerstein's theory of mediated learning experience, MLE. Feuerstein believes that intelligence isn't fixed, it can grow and change if the right kind of learning support is present. According to him, what really resonated with me is his idea that teachers are not just transmitters of knowledge, but mediators. Someone who intentionally helps the learner finding meaning, reflect, and building cognitive skills. This is what I tried to apply with Liam. One day I asked him to share how his mother manages the family grocery shopping. His eyes lit up as he explained how they stretch a budget and compare prices. I used that moment to build a maths lesson on value, needs, and wants. Suddenly, he was engaged. He even volunteered to present his group's findings the following week. This small breakthrough reminded me that mediation doesn't require expensive tools, it requires presence, trust, and relevance. Still, I acknowledge, as Lomfsky 2014 points out, that Feuerstein's full instrumental enrichment IE program might not be realistic for many South African schools. It's costly, resource intensive, and often inaccessible to overburdened teachers. But the heart of the theory, the relations, intentional approach to develop thinking can be applied even in overcrowded, under resourced schools. According to research by Donald and Lazarus in 2020, it explained that learners exposed to trauma need more than content. They need structure, emotional safe space to rebuild their sense of competence, and that's where MLE fits beautifully into our context. It supports both cognitive emotional recovery, which are so tightly linked to post-COVID world. From my own experience, I've seen how a simple question, "What do you think of that?" or "Can you explain it in your own words?" can shift a disengaged learner into an active thinker. According to research by Chantal in 2008, it has reinforced that even learners with barriers to learning thrive when mediation is personalized, culturally relevant, and emotionally meaningful. So, in conclusion, learning disengagement is not just a learning gap, it's an emotional and cognitive wound. And through Feuerstein's principle of MLE, as a teacher, we can become agents of healing and growth. We can restore a sense of hope by helping learners rediscover the capacity to think and reflect and succeed. On the next slide, I will take this reflection further by presenting a practical action plan. I'll show how Feuerstein's ideas can be realistic, creative, and applied to re engaging learners using strategies that are culturally responsive, cost-effective, and deeply human. In slide 2 of my presentation, in this section I'll walk you through the practical action plan designed to re-engage learners in a post-COVID South African classroom using Feurenstein's mediated learning experience principles. As you can see on the first slide, the plan's overall goal is to create supportive and enriching learner-centered environments. One where learners feel seen, heard, and cognitively challenged in a meaningful way. The first strategy on my action plan focuses on intentional mediation through questioning, which we can see on the slide. Instead of simply delivering facts, I will use open-ended prompts like, why do you think that happened? Or can you find a different way to solve this? These types of questions, as noted by Feurenstein in 2002, explains prompts metacognitive reflections help learners build understandings for themselves. I've seen the power of this firsthand. During my teaching practice, a simple why question led to a disengaged learner to connect the concept of budgeting to his home life, and from that moment he became more involved. The second strategy, also shown on the slide, is the use of local, real-life context to make learning relevant. For example, I'll design an EMS life skills lesson activity based on learners' lived experiences, such as using informal trading examples from their communities to teach them concepts like profit, risk, and planning. As well, according to research by Donald and Chantel, connecting learners to a learner culture and context supports both inclusion and critical thinking. It also builds trust because learners feel their worlds are being acknowledged in the classroom. The third part of the plan is peer-mediated learning. This involves grouping learners so they can explain the idea to each other with my guidance. Peer-mediated is powerful. It promotes reciprocity, one of the core beliefs of ML principles. I plan to carefully structure the group and rotate roles so that each learner has a chance to lead and reflect. I've already seen how learners light up when they realize they can teach or support other peers. It gives them confidence and ownership of their learning. Another strategy shown on the slide is the use of emotional check-ins and reflection time. Every day will begin with a short feeling circle or a journal entry where learners can express how they're doing. This especially is crucial in a post-pandemic environment where many children carry hidden emotional burdens. According to research by Navid in 2018, emotional safety is essential for learning. It creates the foundation for engagement, risk taking, and cognitive tasks. I believe that when learners emotionally are secure, they are more likely to take part, ask questions, and try new strategies. Lastly, I plan to introduce progress portfolios. These are simple, low-cost booklets where learners collect their work, reflect on their improvements, and set goals. This aligns with Feurenstein's idea of building a sense of competence. Learners can see their own growth and feel pride in their effort. These portfolios don't just show what learners can do, they show how they changed and how thinking has evolved. Now, on to our next slide. I've outlined simple four-phase implementation timeline. The first week is about resetting the classroom environment and culture, introducing the idea of growth, effort, and reflection. The next 2 weeks focuses on building habits, asking thoughtful questions, and peer discussions, and introducing reflective tools. By week 4, I begin to fully embed these practices, making them part of a learning rhythm. And from that point onwards, I'll adapt based on learners' response, always keeping mediation as the central approach. I've also considered resource limitations, which is vital in our South African context. I'll use recycled paper for portfolios, pre-storytelling materials, and community-based examples, showing that meaningful mediation doesn't require money, it requires creativity and care. Back in all these theories and researches were discussed in part 1, which our foundation started off with and was provided by Feurenstein. Next, we moved on to Lomsky 2014, who confirmed that even when the full IE program isn't feasible, the core ideas of MLE can and should be embedded in our everyday teaching. Next was Donald in 2020, who stressed that the importance of cognitive and emotional mediation for trauma-affected learners, which then was followed up by Chantel in 2008, who reminded us to make learning culturally relevant. And then finally, Navid in 2018 reinforced that emotional safety is key to cognitive growth. From my own teaching experience, I've realized that learners we teach are more than vessels of knowledge. They are thinkers, feelers, dreamers. They come to school with stories, fears, and potential. Fiorenstein's theory has given me a sense and a lens to see that my role is not just to teach, but to mediate, to connect, to believe, and modify. So, this is my action plan. It is more than a set of strategies, it is a mindset, commitment to being present, purposeful, and a human in every interaction I have with my learners. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope that it has offered practical, thoughtful ways to address the challenges of learners' disengagement and that it shows how, with the right approach, every learner can think, grow, and thrive.